Yeah, he's probably going to shatter the NFL combine record this year when they measure their length. I think he's like 86 inches, which is, I don't know, maybe the record's 81 or 82 inches. So he's gonna shatter that when he goes to Indianapolis next year. But he's I'm not sure he's done growing. You know, he may be 7 feet tall one day. I'm really not sure, but just a unbelievable specimen, you know, of an athlete, and y'all know Malachi. I mean, he's just as my wife says, the sweetest boy. And I'm like, I want him to be a little nastier for 4 months, then he can be sweet again. But no, he is physically gifted, and his hands, you know, that length makes him very difficult, you know, because he's tall, but he plays like he's 7 feet. You know, I mean, coming off the edge, he'll bat balls down or being able to grab guys, play with leverage better, you know, reach guys, you know, without letting them get into him. He's just one of those special guys that was built to play this game.
When you look at the way recruiting is speeding up right now, I mean, is that a bad thing that you're going to have that everybody's forced to be in on kids so early on in their high school careers now?
Well, I don't like it, but there's nothing I can do about it. That's just the way it is. You know, I'm hesitant to offer guys that are in the 10th grade, but you know, certainly certain guys you can see, okay, they kind of qualify for that, but not many of those guys, but there's a few. But it makes it tough because, you know, first of all, you got to hold on to them for that much longer. And if you get a guy committed, secondly, you know, they still got some maturing to do as a person. They got to have a couple more years of good decision making and you know, production as a player. So it's definitely a new era that we're in, but that's where we are.
One more recruiting question for you. I've heard kids talking about you know, committable offers. Well, I got an offer, but they told me it wasn't committable. I mean,
never heard of that.
I think it happened recently with BC actually, or maybe it was a Big Ten team and he ended up at BC. Do you have to make it clear to kids when you're talking to them now about, okay, that, you know, this is an actual offer, you know, and this is just, we're interested in you? I mean, how do you draw?
Oh yeah, I mean, we're very clear when we offer a guy, and as I tell the staff, I mean, when we offer one, you better be prepared to take it. So don't offer them unless you're prepared to take them. And that's just kind of where we're at now. Having said that, the recruiting changes every day. That's a fluid situation because, you know, all of a sudden a guy commits. Well, that changes. You know, if you're going to take, say, 2 at a position, for example, well, maybe you've offered 10, and you know, you take any of those guys. When all of a sudden you get 1 committed, well, you might narrow that pool a little bit because you're just going to take 1 more, and then you have to, you know, put that in, and just be honest with everybody and say, hey, here's where we are. I mean, some of these guys that tell them an offer's there for life, it's not very accurate because we all have limitations on this, and we all have a number. I mean, you can't just sign every great wideout that comes along. I mean, you got to have offensive linemen, defensive linemen. At some point, you have to meet your number, and we have an ideal number at every single position on our team, and you know, that can fluctuate from year to year, but that's what we try to stick to, what we try to recruit to from a philosophy standpoint. That's just how we do it.
Back to the prep school topic, or our grad 14 or whatever else, are they pretty good about, if you send a guy there that you sign, protecting him and not letting people come and poach him?
That's kind of the culture of the prep schools, and you know, because you'll have a lot of colleges send the players there, and you know, I mean, there's no rule, but it's just kind of, I think, a gentleman's agreement or an understood rule. Those prep schools is that, you know, you're not contacting other players that are committed other places. You know, because you know you don't want that coach to let other schools talk to your guy that you've sent up there and invested a year's worth of time in or whatever. So yeah, it's just kind of a gentleman's agreement, and we really haven't had many issues with that. It's usually been pretty straightforward process. We've sent guys up there, they've done what they needed to do, and they've made it back.
one more thing. And I know you touched on the recruiting the younger guys. Did you ever imagine earlier in your career that you'd be going against teams that are offering 14, 15 kids that you'd have to go? I mean, it wasn't that long ago where that was pretty rare. Now kids are taking, schools are taking offers from kids going playing the freshman year.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know of any ninth grader that we've offered yet. Again, that's the world we're in right now. But there can't be many of those guys. If there's one of them, it's probably pretty obvious. But still, that's a whole uncharted territory for us.
We gotta go to the next.
Okay.